Shalom, everyone. In this week's Parshat Tzav, the Parsha begins describing the very first act that the Kohen would do every single day to begin the avoda in the Beit HaMikdash, in the Mishkan and the Beit HaMikdash. The Torah describes the act called Trumat Hadeshen, which involved the Kohen going up to the Mizbeach, to the altar where the day's previous korbanot had been burning throughout the night, gathering up the ashes from the previous korbanot and bringing them outside of the Mishkan or the Beit HaMikdash. Some of the Mefarshim are bothered why this act had to be done specifically by the Kohen. After all, it seems like it's simply a glorified taking out of the trash. And why couldn't this act be done by somebody else instead of the Kohen himself, who was in charge of doing the avodah? Not only that, but if we look closely at the Psukim, the Torah commands that not only did the Kohen have to do this action, but he had to do it while wearing his Bigdei Kuhuna, his priestly garments, which indicates that this act of Trumat Hadeshen was not simply cleaning up from yesterday, but is actually the beginning of the avodah of that day. It's the beginning of the service that he's doing that day, almost as if somehow this Trumat Hadeshen is an integral part of what he is doing, of the process of the avodah that the Kohen is about to embark on. And the question is how. Rav Shimshon Raphael Hirsch, in his commentary on the Torah, gives a beautiful explanation for why the Torah commands the Kohen to begin every single day with the process of Trumat Hadeshen. He suggests that as the Kohen is about to begin his daily avodah, beginning a new day of service to HaKadosh Baruch Hu, the Torah commands him to first clear off the ashes of the previous day's korbanot, as a recognition and in order to realize that the avodah that he is about to embark on, the new avodah of today, can only occur because it is coming on the heels of yesterday's avodah. That because of the sacrifice and because of the actions of yesterday's Kohen, who built upon the avodah of the Kohen before him, who built upon the avodah of the Kohen before him, all the way back to the beginning of the avodah in the Mishkan. The Kohen has to realize, as he is about to begin his avodah, that his avodah does not exist in a vacuum, but is only able to take place because it builds upon the efforts of those who came before him. That, says Rav Hirsch, is the most crucial message that the Kohen has to realize and has to fully inculcate before he begins that day's avodah. This is such an important message for us as we embark upon the season of Pesach, followed by the season of Yom HaShoah, Yom HaZikaron, and Yom HaAtzmaut. One of the reasons that we have the commandment on Pesach of V'yigadta lebincha b'yom hahu, that we have to tell the story of Mitzrayim over to our children, is because on both a personal and on a national level, it is crucial for every single Jew to understand where he came from, to understand his history, to understand that his life does not exist in a vacuum, but rather builds upon the legacy of his parents and his family, and also builds upon the legacy of the rest of Am Yisrael that came before him. And so the Torah commands that we sit down on Pesach night and we tell our children, recognize where you came from. Recognize that your own personal avodat Hashem does not exist in a vacuum, but rather can only be as successful as it is because it builds upon the sacrifice and the hard work and the avodat Hashem of those who came before you. And of course, this is true as we enter the world, the weeks of Yom HaShoah, Yom HaZikaron, and Yom HaAtzmaut, as we recognize that in order to be able to celebrate the miracle that is Medinat Yisrael, we can only do so when first realizing and understanding the sacrifice and the tremendous Mesirut Nefesh of all those who came before us, as we commemorate Yom HaShoah and Yom HaZikaron, those who sacrificed their lives, those who sacrificed so much in order to be able to give us who we are today. This message is such an important part of our national legacy, and as Rav Hirsch points out, was crucial to the Kohen on a daily basis to understand and to realize that his own service to Hashem, his own avodat Hashem, only is successful if it builds off of the avodah, the sacrifice, and the hard work of those who came before him. Wishing everyone a Shabbat Shalom.